Hi, good
Hi.
afternoon. I'm Marian LaSalle, and this is my co-host Steve Baker. And today we are talking about Medicare. This is the Baker Seniors TV show on the Future Media TV channel. And today we have Steve Baker talking about the different things that you need to know, whether you're just about to turn 65 or you're taking care of somebody who's about to turn 65. They have things that they need to know. So I'd like to introduce Steve Baker. Say hi, Steve.
Hi. Good to be with you guys.
A Medicare specialist. Absolutely love what you're doing. You're taking people and all their questions that they have about Medicare, and you're making it clear and simple for people because I know it's so confusing. So, Steve, before we get started with some of the questions I have for you, can you tell us a little bit about why you? Why are you a good Medicare specialist?
Well, the major reason is that I'm a participant in Medicare myself, which I know I don't look it, but I am over 65. Somebody said the other day that I look 35, but come to find out, she was talking about the guy behind me.
Oh.
So, so, so at any rate, I've been involved with Medicare for quite some time. For many years, I've enrolled people in Medicare, and I've helped enroll hundreds of people into the Medicare system. And then I'm a participant myself. I'm a cancer survivor. My wife is a cancer survivor. So we know the system. We know how it works. We're very comfortable with it. It's given us peace of mind. So as much as possible, I like to share that with other people. And
well, we appreciate the honest, down-to-earth explanation of something that can be so complicated. And I know when things get really complicated, especially when it's something that the government is in charge of, yes, we can go and look on, .gov, but it's in lawyer speak. It's not in a language that we can understand. So one of the first things I would like to talk about is, what is the number one question that people have when they come to you wanting to know more about Medicare?
Well, the major issue as far as Medicare goes in people's minds are the two branches of Medicare. Medicare Advantage over here, and then you got traditional Medicare with a supplement over here. The two are someone, when they turn 65, when they get involved with Medicare, they can choose one or the other, not both. So they must choose either Medicare Advantage or the traditional. And some of the questions that I have for Medicare Advantage, as an example, the major issue for Medicare Advantage is that there's, generally speaking, there are no premiums that you have to pay for Medicare Advantage. In other words, it's free. And that's an overused term, and it's a misnomer, because those of us who are adults and we've been living a while, we know there's nothing free. Medicare Advantage has some advantages. One of the things is that you don't have to worry about it, is because you're instructed what to do. They send you a list of doctors. You must go see those doctors. You must go to those hospitals that they list. So that's done for you. You don't have to make a decision. So Dr. X, okay, I'm gonna have to go. So I'll go see Dr. X. If Dr. X, generally it's what's called a family physician or a provider, and Dr. X must see you before you go for any other whatever ailment that you might have. For example, if you wake up one morning and you got a terrible shoulder pain, awful shoulder pain, well, common sense is going to tell you don't want to go see an eye doctor. You want to go see an orthopedic person, but you must go see Dr. X first.
Really?
Yes, Dr. X must refer you.
Why do you
It's
think
his
that
choice.
is?
It has to do with the way it's paid, the way the fees are paid. He receives a payment every month for everyone enrolled in his system, whether they sees them, whether he doesn't see them.
No
He
kidding.
receives Yes, he receives a certain amount every month for all of his patients that he has. So everything must go through him. So you've got to go see Dr. X first, and if he deems it necessary, then he will refer you to a specialist of his choice, not of your choice, of his choice or her choice. So right away, you're pretty much out of control with your health care, but you're paying no premium. So for paying no premium, you put up with a lot of disadvantages in order to have Medicare Advantage. So one of the things that people want, primarily I found when I go to see them, I want to go to see my doctor. I want to choose my doctor. I like my doctor. I wonder where else we've heard that. If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. Ha ha. That's for the underage people. But for traditional Medicare, you can go choose any physician that you want, including the one that you're used to for the traditional Medicare. That's the one over on this side. You must pay a premium for the Medicare traditional with a supplement. Now, on the other side, there is a premium to be paid. You still pay your $104.90 a month Part B premium for both of them, whether you're on this one or whether you're on this one. You still have to pay your premium. You pay an extra premium for a Medicare supplement over here. So the question is, can I choose my own physician or hospital? Yes, you can over here. Without question, almost any doctor will accept Medicare. Those it takes those, and there are cases where you can go even see a physician that does not accept Medicare. You can even go in that situation. And the other question that that faces people a lot: Can I choose a specialist? Yes, you can choose a specialist. You can choose your own specialist. You can go to any doctor, any eye doctor, as an example, any eye, ears, nose, or throat doctor. That you need to see. So that's definitely an issue. And if you don't like that physician, you just simply change, go to another doctor. Over here, you don't have that luxury. You're stuck with that physician.
Okay, so along those lines, let's say you choose the one where you get to choose the doctor.
Uh-huh.
Do certain doctors not take Medicare people?
There are a few. There are a few. So they don't take it, but you can still go to those physicians, and those physicians are not allowed to charge more than 15% above what they normally would charge. So that's there is a situation where you can see that specialist. Pretty much, if you go out to the medical center, we are of course in the Houston area, so whenever you go out to the medical center, practically all, I'm going to say 99% of the physicians out there will accept Medicare. So really there's no issue there.
Okay.
For example, if you went to, let's say you came down with a diagnosis of cancer, well, we know that for the most part, people in this area, and actually people from around the world, when they're diagnosed with cancer, the place they want to go is MD Anderson. Now, when you go to MD Anderson, all of the physicians out there are specialists. If you're over here, you can't go to MD Anderson. You got to go see Dr. X. Dr. X will decide where you go and when you go. MD Anderson will not accept this Medicare. He will accept, they will accept this Medicare. So it's actually life threatening if you do not have the proper kind of Medicare.
I see.
It's a strong statement, of course, but
Believable.
yeah, it is believable.
Absolutely.
So
I want to know. I know that this question does come up, but what can you tell us about people getting on Medicare before they turn 65? Is there any possibility of that?
someone is on disability. In other words, if they've been deemed disabled, typically a person is either on disability or they're not on disability. If they're on disability, they are eligible to participate in the Medicare system at any age. So once they're on that, they can take advantage of that at an earlier age.
Okay.
Almost no other exceptions for the age 65 rule, however.
Oh, okay. All right. So either you're disabled and you can get on Medicare, or you have to be 65.
Correct.
And it starts on your birthday.
Correct. On the first day of the month of your birthday. For example,
First day of the month.
Yes.
So if I was born on March 4th, it would have started on March 1st.
Exactly.
Oh,
exactly.
Okay.
If your birthday happens to be on the first day of the month, it starts the previous month. For example, if your birthday is March 1st, your Medicare will start February 1st.
How fascinating.
So
the best thing that people can do is to contact you even a year before they turn 65.
Yes.
So that they can start planning for what they're going to do when they turn 65 and get the information about which plan to choose.
Yes. Yes.
And can they sign up early, or do they have to wait until the system puts them into Medicare?
Well, Medicare will allow you to go ahead and get your supplement in place 6 months prior to your birthday.
Interesting.
So you can do that. If you'd like to get everything set. And I really like to start talking to people about 6 months out so that they totally understand what they're getting into and what the choices are and the directions they can go in. And if they're coming off of group coverage, then I have a way of helping them there, of course. If they keep their group coverage, if they happen to have a retirement health benefit, we go through that and I can explain the advantages of staying on the group health plan until it plays out in some later years. Most of the time, if you're with a larger company like Exxon or Shell or the big phone companies or the electric company, what is it? It used to be Reliant, whatever it is now. I don't know.
Whatever it is now.
Yeah, whatever it is now. Some of those big companies. Another big issue are government employees. They have some of the best coverage available for retirees, and so I usually don't help people like that. And by helping them, I don't sell them a policy or anything, but I'm still able to explain how Medicare works, even though they're retiring from, let's say, the city of Houston or the city of Pasadena or any other of numbers of cities, around the country, or state governments. Even though they're retiring and they're going to have Medicare, they need to understand it anyway. So I help them with that as well.
Okay, so let's take that scenario. I'm still working at Exxon or another company, and I'm turning 65 in about 8 months. Okay. I still contact you to go over my situation, and you tell me what to do, and they automatically enroll me in Medicare, or do you take care of that since I went to you before?
Yeah. Well, truthfully, with larger companies like that, they have huge human resource department, and the people that work in those departments are well versed on the choices, and they, about a year out, they start holding seminars for retirees and that sort of thing. So truthfully, it's pretty well covered. They're pretty well schooled on it. They may have a question or two or whatever, and occasionally I'll run into some people like that, and I will sit down with them and just kind of back and forth. How's it going? Do you have any questions? Are you set? With your Medicare, what's going to happen? I actually learn a lot by talking with those people, because some of the issues that the companies face is changing, and some of the government stuff is changing too. So I learn a lot. Not only do I share, I also learn a lot talking to those employees, or getting ready to be ex-employees of whatever entity. So most police and fire departments, of course, are part of their city agencies. So they're pretty uniform across the states. Here in Texas, it's pretty much the same. If you're in Weatherford, Texas, as opposed to League City, Texas, it's quite similar from city to city.
So there's a lot of entrepreneurs and retired folk before they hit 65. They've gotten out of the workforce, and maybe they work for themselves, or maybe they're working part-time for Walmart as a greeter, or they got a job with Uber. Mm-hmm. They're driving. Does the same apply? I mean, they can still contact you, and you'll help them through this maze of questions that they might have.
Right. A lot of my clients have been entrepreneurs. In other words, by entrepreneur, I mean they've owned a business, and by owning a business, they've excuse me, they funded their own health insurance for themselves and their employees through the years. And so now it's time for them to retire and to move out of the group coverage that they have. And a lot of my clients are in that situation. So they don't have health benefits as such. They don't have a funded health benefit like if they were working with a large company. So most of the time, those are the kinds of people that I help the most. I move them into Medicare. The premium usually drops dramatically whenever they move into Medicare. So that works, and I help them. We go over and get some water.
Yes, please. Clear your throat, and I'll ask another question. Okay. So I just happen to know a lot of people who are in the healthcare industry, and maybe someone is taking care of someone who has already turned 65. Uh-huh. And I remember hearing you say that you could also help them to see if they're covered with the right coverage. Maybe they didn't know when they turned 65. Mm-hmm. Can they come to you and say, can you help us see if there's a way that we can save some money, or maybe switch our Medicare? What's the process that they would go through?
Well, they need to understand that if someone is part of, generally speaking, if someone is over here with the Medicare Advantage plan, it works along for a while, probably through from 65 on to 75, and it's working along. You go to the doctor a few times, but you've got to pay a copay or whatever. So you're able to struggle through that. However, let's just say someone at age 69 has a stroke. Okay, now they're in a serious situation here, because they've got to all of a sudden be part of the specialized system. So they need a neurologist, and they're going to need a cardiologist, and they're going to need all kinds of ologists that that are out there. So those are called specialists, and that's when they start having to pay dramatic amounts. For example, if they go to the hospital, if they're over here on this side, they're just entered into the hospital. If they're here, there's a chance that they may have to write a check for $1,200 or $1,500 or $1,800 in order to be admitted into the hospital. It comes quite as a shock. Now they haven't paid premiums all of this time, so they've been quite happy for not paying premiums. However, now it's time to pay up. So there are situations where someone can move from here over to here, and that's what's called the open enrollment period from October 15th through December 7th. That's the only time someone is allowed to make a switch over to traditional Medicare.
Why is that? I hear that a lot, Steve. Why is that?
It's the way the government just set it up that way. They just get, okay, we want it for a month and a half or 2.5 months, whatever it is. We'll be bothered with it, but after that period of time, we just don't want to be bothered with it. So we're just going to X all of those other months out, and this is the way it's going to be, period. That's it. No discussion. That's it. That's the way it's going to be. So they just issue an edict and say that's the way it is, and it's been that way for many years. So that's just deemed a situation. And of course, it goes through Congress and whatever, all of that. And so it's legal, obviously. So it's part of a law. They put it in there. That's the way we want it. That's the way it's going to be. So.
All right. Well, so the best case scenario would be to contact you before we turn 65, but they can still contact you after to see if there's anything that you can do to help save them some money.
Sure. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Now, can you work with people in different parts of the country?
Yes, I can get licensed. If I'm not licensed in a state, I can get licensed in a state and do it by phone. And even I'm learning now how to go on the computer and get them on the computer and get them enrolled into a system of their choice in their state. So I can do that. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the new thing coming up. So it's all going to be technology. Pretty soon there won't be any paper, or at least that's what they've told us years ago. They used to say we're going into a paperless society. Well, we've got all the computers and all the stuff, but I still don't see the paperless society. Do you?
Not yet.
Right.
It is. People are trying.
Yeah.
They are trying, but you know what? They're going to have to wait a while before this woman doesn't have a pad of paper and a pencil nearby. Exactly. I might not ever do anything with that piece of paper, but you know what? I write notes down, and I just absolutely love my pad of paper. Yeah.
Well, in that regard, now that you mentioned other locations in other states, I do get the question a lot. Am I covered when I'm traveling?
That's a good one. Yeah.
And the question is over here, and again, we're talking about our two different. And I don't mean to downplay this so much because it's there's definitely a market for that. People who are on low income, for example, if someone's just living on Social Security only, then that means that they're paying and they get enough to buy groceries and maybe pay a little bit of rent and a few utilities, and that's just about it. So they don't have room to go out and acquire the health care on this side. But if they happen to be, and typically those people don't travel, they just they don't have the resources to go and take trips or visit relatives all over. So they're pretty much at home. But if someone does go out and they happen to have an Advantage plan, they're treated in an emergency room only, and they're asked to go back to their home location so that their Medicare Advantage can work for them. So if you're, let's say you have a Medicare Advantage and you're in Iowa, let's just say you're visiting up at Iowa and you happen to have an automobile wreck, as you know, as happens, all the time, or have a stroke, maybe have a heart attack, all kinds of things, emergency stuff. They put you in the emergency room, but they're gonna want you to make provisions to get back to your present location, because the Medicare most of the Medicare Advantage situations are localized. Remember Dr. X I told you about?
Yes.
Well, Dr. X is, he's back she is back in her home location, and she wants to be in charge of that person's medical care. So now, if someone has the other kind, the traditional Medicare with a supplement, they're covered in all 50 states. Now, that would include Hawaii, of course. And in case someone travels abroad, then it's highly recommended that they get a supplement policy to cover the 2 weeks or 3 weeks that they're away out of the country. And then there's a certain number of insurance companies have policies for that. For example, my wife and I are getting ready to go to down at the tip of Baja called Cabo San Lucas next week.
Are you really?
Right.
Oh, you told me you were going to go. You lucky dog.
So we're purchasing, even though we have Medicare and we have our supplements, we're purchasing a policy that will be honored in Mexico, designed specifically for emergency situations there. So there are those that are available for if someone goes on a cruise. I strongly recommend that you contact your carrier and discuss that with them, because they have certain things, certain provisions that you can do or purchase. So once you're back in the territorial jurisdiction of the United States, of course, your Medicare is working just fine, and your supplement will be honored in all 50 states. So that's
okay.
That's one of the issues that I like to discuss with people.
I think it's a good one, because we do like to travel, especially after we retire, because let's face it, we have time.
Right.
I have one final question before we close out the show today.
Uh-huh.
And that is about Obamacare. So how does that play in, if at all? Is there anything we should know?
Well, Obamacare has been controversial, as you might, if you turned on the radio and listened to the news or read the newspapers. It's been up and down across and discussed and so forth. It was passed by Congress. It was signed by the president. So Obamacare is law. It's there. The issues with it are that you have to purchase. Now, let me state this. There's a term called underage, and we in the Medicare world call anyone under 65 underage. So, Marion, you're underage.
Wow, I haven't been told that in a while.
For a little while, that is.
Yes. For a few years.
For a few years, you're underage. But anyone underage was in the Obamacare world, and we're talking about people 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. And there's certain rules and regulations, and in some cases they're quite rigid, and some are even saying they're onerous, but I don't know. But at any rate, that has nothing to do with the Medicare world. So the Medicare world, once someone turns 65, they pass over to the Medicare rules and regulations that have been in place for 50 years.
Right.
So we've got a lot of experience, and we haven't been asked to change anything so far as Medicare.
Fantastic.
Another real quick question is, people ask me, can my coverage ever be canceled with Medicare?
Oh.
Can I is my Medicare ever canceled? The answer is no. It will not be. As long as you pay the premiums, Medicare will not be canceled for any reason, no matter how much the claims, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars or
That's
whatever,
good to know. That is very good to know. I'm so glad you brought that up.
can't be canceled.
Well, I know we have a lot of more questions to ask, and so we'll be back again on Thursday. Feel free to come in and ask questions. If you have questions or if you would like to speak to Steve, please contact him. His website is bakerseniors.com, and his phone number is 832-754-3292. And he can be reached just about any time. He just welcomes any questions that come up about Medicare. He takes very good care of everybody. Please seek him out and ask the questions that you might have. Or we'll see you again back here on the Baker Seniors TV show every Thursday at 5 o'clock Central Time. Until next week, we'll see you then. Bye, Steve.
Bye.
We'll be back again next week.